if you can take advantage of 401k, you should. You must. Now, if you can do it on a Roth basis with the after-tax dollars, in the long run, that's going to really be a big benefit to you.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond the Paycheck. I'm Paula Christine. So one of my special or favorite things to talk about is retirement income strategies. Most people go into retirement or save for retirement their entire life, but they have no idea when it comes to retirement how to take income from those investments. And a lot of that needs to happen, and that consideration needs to happen before you retire and not the day you retire and you sit down and go, okay, how am I going to take income from here? So we have Steven, I'm going to probably say his name wrong because I always say everybody's names wrong, Steve Selengut, who's going to talk to us about making retirement income strategies. And he just finished a book and it's now published called Retirement Secrets, correct?
Retirement Money Secrets.
Oh, yes. Of course, we need the money.
Yeah, I can show
I can see it.
Yeah. See.
Cool.
And it's sold over 5,000 copies already.
Awesome. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
How are you today? Are you good?
I'm good. Yeah, for a guy my age, I'm doing fine.
Oh, you're just so young.
I am a young kid at heart.
Yes.
Right.
That keeps us young.
I still act out a lot. So.
And how does your wife feel about that?
She figures it's normal. She smacks me around a little bit and puts me back on track. And
good for her.
We're all set. We've
been doing this.
We've been married for 55 years this year.
Oh, wow.
But we've known each other for 63 years.
Did you date in high school?
We did. We met in 7th grade and we dated a little bit in 8th grade, and we dated a little bit in high school.
Wow, good for you.
But not when I went off to college. Then she wasn't up for that long distance stuff.
Oh, well, good. Congratulations. That's a lot of people don't stay married that long.
No, I guess not these days. But a lot of people that I graduated college with, that age group, are still together.
Well, that's
really,
good.
Really phenomenal.
Yeah, I've been divorced for 4 years now, I think. Was married for almost 23, and
wow.
I hope one day to get married again.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I hope you find the right person.
I do too. Okay. Not that anybody cares about our love lives. They want to talk about money. And so let's talk about retirement. So what is the average age you see people retiring?
I don't actually. Well, most of them are average. See that I'm messing up too.
Okay.
Most of them are retiring after 65.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
In my experience, I'm no longer actually running management portfolios for anybody. I sold my business last May, or rather in May of 23, so it's almost 2 years in May, and I'm now coaching and running a community that provides education in retirement income development. But in the coaching area, I get calls from a lot of people that are younger than the ones that used to come to me for management. They're really looking at it sooner, I think, than the people in my generation did. They're saying, I want to get set up. And they bump into my website and they call me up and they want to talk about, this is what I've got, this is what I'm doing, how can we make this generate more income? And I don't know if this is your experience, but most people come to me, their portfolios may be rather large.
Mm-hmm.
They may be, most of them are pretty good quality. The security's been well selected. Many of them are not quite as well diversified as would like. And the biggest, and I think the scariest thing when you're starting to talk about retirement, is that most portfolios don't generate much income. when you're talking about a stock market based,
Mm-hmm.
market value focused portfolios, which is where most people are when they come to me. Even if they're in a managed situation, many people come to me and they have a financial advisor who is managing their portfolios, and they've got significant dollars, lots of zeros after it, but the income is really just not there. And it's primarily because of the 4% rule that most.
Well, I heard now they're saying that it should be a 3.7% rule.
3.7, okay. Well, actually, then if it's 3.7, then should be 3.85 because of because of the fees from the advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but most of the ones I see don't even pay 2.5% in income, because they're all planning on using the market value. They're going to sell the losers to produce the cash,
right,
to pay the person the income that they want. My approach is to generate the income, enough base income, regular income, to more than pay the 4% they're going to need.
How do you do that?
Okay, we can get right into that, but also the other part of it is to also take as much in profits to pay their fees or more.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're looking at your portfolio. You should have your professional generating for you at least 5.5%, probably more. And the way we do it is by using income-focused securities, those old-fashioned things like bonds and liens and mortgages and real estate and all those good things, preferred stocks, dividend-paying stocks, stuff like that, and doing it in a form of security that is the oldest one in the business, and which is designed as a pass-through trust, and which is focused on generating income. That's what it's all about. So these things are called closed-end funds, and I know you've heard of them. The thing that makes them so interesting, other than the fact that they have to pay 95% of their income to their shareholders, and that's what you become. You become a shareholder of the trust, not of the securities inside the trust.
Okay.
Not like a mutual fund. And there's a limited number of shares. That's what means closed end. When it comes out as an IPO, that's the number of shares there are. There are very, very rarely stock splits, almost never, and also rarely stock dividends or anything like that. The only way they increase the shares, the ones that try to, is through rights offerings.
Okay, so I hate to say this, but let's dumb it down a little bit so that the average person who doesn't know what you're talking about can understand it. So let's say you're telling it to an 8th grader. And not saying that offensive to anybody, but just make it so that, or, a high schooler, just so that somebody can understand.
Okay, so...
I throw you under the bus.
You did, yeah. I haven't had that one. Okay, let me see how I would talk to my granddaughter.
Okay.
About it. So Hannah, now that you're graduating college and you're going to have a job, you're going to have a good job, and you're going to get bonuses every now and then. So instead of buying a new car each year or going on a vacation, I want you to put a bunch of this away, and put it away in a safe. First thing you want to look at is quality of an investment. So let's say you were talking about companies you've heard of, and they're good and they've been around a long time, like the oil companies and the healthcare industry and things like that. You don't want to go into things that you hear like tips or
never take anybody's
new
advice.
Issues and things like that. You don't want to invest in anything that hasn't proven itself that it's a profitable entity. And if you want to say you want it to be green, well, that's fine, or whatever other requirements. But that's the first step in taking your money and putting it away intelligently is to check the quality of what you're going into.
Okay.
The second thing you want to do is diversify. You don't want to fall in love with anything. You don't want to just do one thing every time you get a paycheck. You don't want to just buy more of the same thing. You want to diversify.
Okay.
Many different high quality positions. The third thing you want to do is make sure all of these positions have enough respect for you as an owner of their business that they're paying you something, that they're paying you distributions, so on. And finally, you got to keep your eyes on what you own, because anything that's a security, a stock, is going to fluctuate in market value. You don't have to worry about that a whole lot, because you already know it's high quality and you know you're diversified and so on, and you're getting income. But you have to recognize that the markets go up and down. So that any time it goes up and you have this beautiful green color on your statement, or you look online and you see all your positions are bright green and they have large numbers in the column that says profits.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like walking down the sidewalk and finding $100 bill. You pick it up. You may look around and see if somebody dropped it, and of course you're honest, you'd go run after them. But if nobody's there, you pick it up, you put it in your pocket or in your purse, and it's yours. That's the same way you have to treat those green numbers. You have to set a target profit on everything you own, just like when you go to Walmart or you go to one of your fancier stores for when you buy those nice dresses you buy, and you see all that inventory they have on the racks. They have an idea of how much they want for that. They have a profit-taking target. They'll sell it to you at a target. Sometimes it's on sale. They'll sell it to you for less. But if you offer them that amount of money, they're going to take it. They're not going to say, nah, the price of those dresses are going up because they're getting popular.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to sell them to you right then. And they're going to replace them with other dresses. That's the same way you have to look at your securities. And you can look at these securities not only as a department store with all these different types. You got healthcare and all these other things, but you also, each one of them kind of represents an employee, because they're paying you to be in your portfolio.
Oh, this is such,
so
you are doing a great job.
So that's how you have to look at this thing with your extra money. You want to build this department store like entity with a variety of different products on your shelves that are actually paying you like employees, and you want to set targets on what you want to sell them at. And that's most of the battle. And if you can do that religiously and not get sucked into going speculative, like running out and buying a crypto coin because some of your friends have, you want to make sure everything you do with your money produces money.
You explained that great. I mean, that was awesome. I think that, everybody can understand.
I'm not sure my granddaughter did.
Well, she may have to listen a couple of times.
She may have to do a few more tries through the book and stuff like that. But
yeah,
she did ask some questions when she read it. So.
Yeah, well, I think, 20-year-olds, they coming from grandpa or coming from mom and dad, still at that age where they tend not to listen.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. If I would have listened years ago, I'd be on a tropical island somewhere.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what I heard was pick quality stuff that you know about, that has been around for years, that pay a dividend, which is paying me. Take my profits. I got to set like a threshold. So let's say that 20% is my number. So if that stock goes up 20%, am I selling the whole thing or taking a portion of it?
I always take, if I can sell the whole thing and it's all profitable, because we're getting more technical now, though.
Oh, that's okay.
I'd say sell the whole thing. But over the years, since they are high quality and they're going to go up and down, and as your portfolio grows and you have a lot of income and your own income that you're adding, you'll be adding to some of these things. And they're different lots. And you never should add to one at a higher price like Wall Street likes you to reinvest automatically. You never invest automatically. You always think about every decision. So when you have one that's down like 10, 15%, you want to add a little bit to it every now and then to keep, you want to add new positions and add to old positions that are down. So occasionally you'll have a time where the overall will be profitable, but some of the lots inside will still be negative, the older ones. And when you've had a portfolio as long as I have, that happens quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I do. I take today, incredibly, today, with where the market was today, and since most of my securities are income focused, they weren't really hurt at all. I was taking profits today. But I was mainly taking profits on recent purchases that had gone up. And I call that trimming. I call it, it amplifies the velocity of money within your portfolio. And that's what I refer it to as in the book.
So this is money that you're not investing, say, in a 401k. It's money you're investing on your own.
Right. It's different in the 401k environment because you don't have a whole lot of choices. You have choices of funds and ETFs. You'll never see a closed-end fund in a 401k because, like the other ones, well, the mutual funds have fees, but the ones that want to be in 401ks charge minimal fees, like the Vanguard funds are the most popular. With ETFs, their claim to fame is that they're cheap because they're not managed, which is not necessarily a good thing, but their fees are cheap. Closed-end funds, on the other hand, are actively managed portfolios, and the managers get paid significantly, like 2.5%, 3%. You don't pay it, but the government is very bright in its analyses, and it says that, 4% that they're paying after no fees is better than 9% that a CEF is paying after high fees. So there's not a lot of sense in their arguments, but you're not going to find any CEFs in them. But
can we go back to your
yes.
granddaughter again? So you're
Sure.
sitting down with your 21-year-old granddaughter, and she's saying, "Grandpa, I'm ready to start investing. I have money that I'm going to be putting into my 401k.
Okay, yeah.
Do I do the Roth, the traditional, or do I not do my 401k and do investing outside of that? Or do I do a combination of both?"
The 401k, if your employer is matching your contribution, that's free money. You can't say no. You can't say no, particularly if it's a dollar for dollar match of 4% of your salary. I mean, do not say no.
Some people do, which still amazes me.
Yeah,
yeah,
they do.
Some people do.
And maybe it's because they're in a position where they can't afford to give up 4% of their salary. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
But if you can take advantage of 401k, you should. You must. Now, if you can do it on a Roth basis with the after-tax dollars, in the long run, that's going to really be a big benefit to you. And if you have the same security selections, it's a why not. You're going to have less money to spend because you do it on a Roth basis. Right? Either that or you have less money.
Just let's explain that for people who don't understand. When you do a traditional 401k, it goes in with before taxes, and a Roth is after taxes. But when you withdraw from the Roth, it's tax-free.
It's tax-free. So it can be, I've seen people with literally more than $1 million in a 401k. And if it's in a Roth IRA, it just, what you can do with it in retirement just magnifies so greatly. The trips are now in business class, and if you're with my wife, you're in the the owner's suite on the Viking thing, you know. So, you know, that's what the difference is. It's traveling light or traveling luxuriously, I think.
Right.
But anyway, tax-free money is very, very important. There are other ways to get tax-free money, but the 401k option should be taken advantage of because you have so many years to build it up. You still have to think about what's inside, and you need to understand. You need to get somebody to explain to you what these different mutual funds and ETFs are all about. And you should particularly understand which class of securities they belong to. There are basically two classes of securities. One is a focus on growth of market value, and that's mainly things that are in the stock market. Mm-hmm. So if you have a 100% or an S&P 500 index fund and things like that, those are stock market or growth investments. And then if it says it's a bond fund or stuff like that, real estate, bonds, income focused, it might even have that in its name. Those are income focused securities. Each class of securities has a different cycle. The equities will be following what's going on in the stock market. Today they got pummeled. You know, in 2020 with COVID, they got creamed, you know. They all can, but they always come back. You never really have to worry about these types of things so much as long as you do the quality diversification income thing I was thinking about. Mm-hmm. And the 401k typically takes care of that for you because they have professionals who set these things up, and they have fiduciary requirements that they have to do it properly, you know. So the key element is to know is to have something in each. Not all growth. At your age, Hannah, you should have,
I would say, all growth.
75% of it in the stock market and 25% in income. You should always have some income. But when the stock market's at an all-time high and you see how pretty that is, again, where it's all up and it's up so much more, that's when you trim profits like you were talking about. Do you sell it all or sell none? Take 10% and move it from the equity into the income, particularly where we are right now, where the equities are very close to an all-time high even after today, where the income focus securities are not. They're well below where they were 5 years ago. The stock market's above where it was 5 years ago, but the bond market is not. So when the market is up and the other one's down, that's the time to switch it from the profits and put it in the one that's weaker and let that build, because eventually the stock market is going to go down again. And then you just do it in reverse.
So do you recommend your granddaughter sign up for automatic rebalancing or to do it on her own?
I recommend she do it on her own. The only automatic is between your ears for me. I don't do anything. I selectively reinvest every penny that comes into my portfolio.
So how do you have like a 21, 22-year-old and who's out living life and
letting her do that?
Yeah. That I think becomes a hard thing. And even doesn't even have to be a 20-year-old. People just don't pay attention enough, I think, to rebalance their portfolio.
You're absolutely right. If there is some vehicle that allows that within the 401k, she's working there, so she's going to get notices. She's going to see it. She's going to see the numbers. I think they'd probably give her an opportunity to make a change of where the money's going at least once a year.
Oh, no, you can do it daily if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. So, you can do it occasionally. You should just make yourself look at it.
Yeah.
If there's an automatic reinvestment, other than the changes, you should take advantage of it.
Yeah. Most 401ks offer automatic rebalancing whenever you tell it to.
I don't like rebalancing. This will be a new concept for most people. I don't look at market value other than to know how much I'm going to buy something for and when I have a profit available and I can sell something. Okay? I look at what I call working capital, which is the amount I've paid for all these securities, each one. And I want that to grow because it's the working capital, the amount of the base that you have that produces the income. A security going up, doubling in market value, doesn't make it produce more income. Only if you take the profits, thereby doubling your working capital, does it now, reinvesting again, does it generate more income. That's a really significant feature that I point out in the book, is to get your focus away from just racing and chasing market value, but to, rather than that, build the stuff that's producing the income. Add more houses to your monopoly board. You know?
Let's talk about that for a second. Do you recommend passive income?
Well, passive income, I I use passive income sources, and I actively invest and trade them.
But
So,
other than that, would you recommend your daughter get involved in, buying real estate and looking at other revenue sources so that she's not dependent on her career, her income to...
absolutely, but that's outside the 401k now. Now we're going outside the
Yeah, I switched
401k to
subjects
the
on you.
other money she's going to invest.
Yeah.
When I'm on podcasts with real estate people, I really think there's a lot of similarities between how I use my closed-end funds and they use their rental properties and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I flip them all the time. My securities, I'll take small profits and keep doing it. They'll take larger profits and buy more, dwelling space, more rental properties. Their focus is not on the market value of those rental units. Their focus is on the income coming in.
Correct.
Okay. They have more overhead than I do with my closed-end funds because they have to maintain those buildings and pay the taxes and all that stuff. And I just trade, So there's a difference in that sense, but the concept is the same. We both want that income because the more income we get, the more additional properties we can put into our portfolio of properties. We flip them when we know we can make a change to a similar property that's going to generate a similar amount of income at a nice price. Even at a not nice price, in a different neighborhood where prices may be going up faster. So it's a very similar concept of what I do with these packages of securities. And the closed-end funds, I can own equity ones that have an average holdings of 250 different companies in there. So I'm going to own NVIDIA. I'm going to own all the hot ones. I can do sector funds that own just healthcare securities or AI securities or energy. Anything you can do in the stock market, you can do with closed-end funds, and safer. But under the same concept that mutual funds became so popular, that a diversified portfolio of securities always is safer than the individual securities inside it.
Correct.
That's the principle on why they're more common in 401ks than individual stocks are.
Yeah, I don't know that there's too many 401ks that have individual stocks unless it's the company itself. Yeah.
Private ones,
Yeah.
I used to manage I took over the management of a 401k from this firm out in Long Island. And they had individual portfolios for each of their employees, and they were all in individual securities. And I took it over and I put them into these closed-end funds, where I converted them slowly into the income-generating portfolios.
So if you could go back and, I don't know, say 50 years ago. I don't know how old you are, 40 years ago.
I was doing this.
I'm trying to think. You're married for 55 years, so it's got to be like, so you're young and knowing what you know now, what would be the one thing that you would say to your younger self?
I started investing when I was 25.
Oh, so I guess you can't really answer that
I
because you were
can't.
the smart one.
I well, I did because it was thrust upon me at 25. When I was a kid, my dad had taken. I always worked from the time I was like 12. I was mowing lawns. I had my own company. I had myself and two guys. We had three lawnmowers, and we were in. It was kind of a resort, not fancy resort, but it was mostly a summer place where most people come out to live on this lake that we lived on, where my father was the builder, and he'd hook me up to mow the lawns for all these people, you know. And I had three guys. We had three mowers, and we'd do this, and then we'd spend it all. But he wouldn't let me spend it all. He took 25% of my money and put it away. His lawyer was an investor, and he took care of it for him. So for all those years, he was doing that, and I didn't. I went to a small school in Pennsylvania. I didn't hit him up for any big Brown, my brother went there, and he went there. I didn't go there. I went to a Gettysburg College out in the middle of Pennsylvania, and it was cheap compared to the others. So when I was 25, I just got a portfolio dumped on me and said, "Here, kiddo, it's yours. Now run it." Okay, don't lose it, that type of thing. So I've been investing all that time, and I always had an income focus, and I kept that. And within 9 years, when I was 34, I quit my job in New York, and I started running other people's money. I was making much more in my job, and I started doing it for other people. The thing that I should have done, and I really kicked myself, I found these two great stocks. I thought they were the best stocks in the world. They paid huge dividends every December. So every September, I'd buy them, and I'd put them in all my investment portfolios for all my clients, as many as I could. And whatever happened, every year they'd pay these special dividends, and I would sell them before the dividend actually was paid, before the ex-dividend date, because I wanted the dividend, but I didn't want to hold the security for another 12 months because it didn't pay anything really. It paid 10 cents, and once a year it paid $10. It was that type of thing, So that's what I did. So I didn't even realize that these stocks that I was doing this with were closed-end funds. One was petroleum and resources. It was in the energy sector.
Okay, let's be careful recommending anything.
Oh, I'm not recommending it.
Okay.
I'm not. It's just a sample of. Okay. And another one, which is in a different sector, and I didn't realize they were closed-end funds. I didn't realize that until much later, when a client came to me with a couple income closed-end funds in his portfolio. And I said, "Charlie, what are these things?" And he said, "Oh, those are closed-end funds." I said, "Well, tell me about them." And he did. And then I started studying them. And then I saw the variety of closed-end funds in the equity markets and in the income market. But in the income market, the magic of these closed-end funds was you could own a portfolio of municipal bonds, 200 or 300 different municipal bonds, and you could trade it like a stock.
Oh.
Now, if you've done bonds or you know about bonds, the hassle to buy them and sell them yourself is just incredible. You have to get quotes. Do they have it what do they have in inventory? And then how much are they going to charge you? What's the markup going to be? And then you got to make arrangements. You got to pay the interest that's been accrued on them since the last payment date for 6 months, and so on. And then if you wanted to sell them, you had to go through the same routine. And of course, they took their markup again, and you paid it twice, both ends. It was just such a hassle. Now you can go out and for $13, I can buy a portfolio containing 300 different municipal bonds, paying 7% right now, 6.5% right now. It's crazy. What a difference. So I converted all my clients, the income portion of their portfolios, and they were getting older, and it was a lot of money that I took out of Ginnie Mae's and corporate unit trusts and things like that, and preferred stocks, and I put them in these closed-end fund vehicles, and we started just making heaps of income. I mean, crazy. So anyway, that's the biggest thing. If I had recognized that sooner, I swear the 110 million I sold that business for probably would have been 180 million. I didn't. That's not how much I got for it. That's how much I was managing. Okay, so don't
No, I can do some math and figure that out what you got for it. So,
so you know,
I think
that was the biggest mistake.
You've shared a lot of valuable information for everybody. I just want to make sure that, you know, as a listener, that you make sure you do your own homework and understand what you're getting involved with. And if need to, talk to a professional before you run out and start buying closed-end funds. You should make sure that that's the strategy that works for you, putting out that disclaimer. And if you have got questions, reach out to Steve. And I'm assuming that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing to do, there's a great website that can explain a lot about closed-end funds and not necessarily agree with the way I use them or think of them as far as the difference between market value and cost, called CEF Connect.
Okay.
Which intends to teach. It's a Nuveen offering. You know, it's not a sales spot at all. They don't want to sell you anything. They're just telling you about it. And the other thing to do is to read Retirement Money Secrets, because that gives you all the ins and outs of.
And can we get that book on Amazon?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Amazon, and you can get it in your corner store also. You'd have to order it. I don't think it's on the shelves anywhere yet, but it has sold 5,000 copies.
That's great. So that's great.
It's gotten some good action.
So I want to thank you for joining us today. As always, I always learn a ton of stuff from my guests, and so I appreciate you sharing your knowledge. And in the show notes, we will have ways to reach out to Steve and, make sure to pick up his book. So I want to thank everybody for listening today. So one of my goals is to start increasing the number of reviews that we have on this podcast. So I'd appreciate it if you enjoyed what Steve and I talked about today, to go on to wherever you're listening and give me a review. So thanks again, Steve, for coming. I really appreciate you and you sharing your knowledge.
My pleasure. It was a great conversation. I'd like to talk to you again sometime, actually.
Sure. Okay. If anybody wants to reach me, they can reach me at paula@paulachristine.com. So thank you.